Okay, so this is the tutorial for the z-test for significance, the first test. I'm just going to use the example of the first example that Dr. Brooks had given us on his two-question worksheet. And I already have Megastat installed, which of course you're going to need to do first. And the two you're going to use is under hypothesis tests, and it's mean versus hypothesized value, and the other one we're going to use is compare two independent groups. Um, First of all, you're just going to want to open mean with hypothesized value, and you want to do summary, because we already have the data points that we're going to use, and it's going to be a z-test. And then essentially what you're going to end up doing is putting in the label, the mean, the standard deviation, and n, which is the number you're solving for in the last box there. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in. And in the first problem he gave us, it was acreage, and the mean was 63.2, and the standard deviation was 7, and n was 22. And I'm just getting them over here on these figures here. And I'm going to open up Megastat again, summary input, and I'm just going to highlight this box here. Now, hypothesized mean is the mean of the population. Now, remember, the population is the full total of the larger sample, whereas the smaller 63.2 mean is actually a sample of 22 out of that larger population of many, many places that they tested the acreage. So here we're going to put that 65 for the mean of the population. Again, z-test, and then we're going to say display a 95% confidence interval, because on the problem Dr. Brooks had specified that we want to test for a 0.05 or a 5% confidence, or not confidence, but error rate, which is 95% confidence. And then he also said that we just have to play around with these until we get a figure that works. So in this case, I know not equal doesn't work here, so I'm just going to try greater than and see what that gives us. And that's going to give us that. We've got the p-value there, and we can go back and do that again. It's got all our figures in here. We can try less than, just to try it, and then it does this for us. So essentially, I believe what he said was that we do either one, and anything less than a 0.05 is pretty low, and we got our z-score and everything. So essentially this is a significant number. And then the second one we're going to do is the independent groups if you're comparing two groups. And I'm just going to open up a new Excel spreadsheet. And you have to install Megastat every time. And it's under add-ins. First of all, we're going to put in the same data here. And we're going to put in the label, which here is credit card debt. And the next credit card debt, because they're both looking at that. And then we put the mean, which is 6618 and 9205 for the two samples. And then the standard deviation was 1928 for both. And the sample size was 35 for both. Then you go back into Megastat, and this is compared to independent groups. Again, summary input, group 1, select the first column. Group 2 is, of course, the second column. And we don't know if there's a difference yet, so we just leave those and do a z-test. That's all. We're not worrying about that. These two don't matter here, and also the alternative does not matter. And then you're going to come up, we should get the same figure here, and we end up with a p-value of 1.99 to the exponent of minus 0.08. So essentially you're going to get a really, really small number, which means that the p-value is showing that we have a very significant group. Whereas I was actually wrong about the other one. The other one was not significant because it was a high p-value. Both of the tests we did. So hopefully that gives you a little understanding of how to get to those numbers. And I don't think he wants us to do anything with actually explaining what that all means. You just have to know that if it shows up in yellow on the test, that means it is significant and it is a low p-value, which is good. If it doesn't, then it means you have a high p-value and it's not significant. So that's all you need to know. Whereas the first test was not highlighted and it was not significant. So that's what you need to know.